Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to tell you a story time about a medical building that is just like horrific for me. Like I feel like it's jinxed for me or bad luck for me or whatever you want to say. Not in terms of health, knock on wood, but just in terms of experiences in this medical building. So not too far from my house, there is this building that has like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 floors. And it has different medical offices in it. There's doctor's offices in it. There's an x-ray lab in it. There's a Quest blood draw in it. And multiple other things. After I had my son, I will just say I was going through a lot emotionally. So everyone was encouraging me to go seek out a doctor and to go tell them my feelings and explain what was going on with me. So I did not know my doctor that I used to go to had since like moved away. So basically I had to find someone new to go to. So I picked someone close that was in this medical building and I went there for the first time. And this man was an older gentleman, probably around retirement age, if not older. He was just being very honest about how the whole new like computer setup system like sucked. And keep in mind, this was about less than 5 years ago. So about like 4 years ago, about how the whole new like computer setup sucked, about how they had to like enter information and all the like millions of pages we had to go through. And he kept like turning the computer screen and showing me everything he was having to go through and like bitching like nonstop about it. And I'm like, dude, like, okay, like I get it. Insurance is a pain in the ass. Everybody knows that, but like, it's not my fault. You have to answer 7,000 questions about me. So, you know. And he did this for about an hour. And no, I'm not exaggerating. He literally sat there and made the process. He was bitching about how long the process was, but then he made it like 20 times longer than it even had to be. So anyway, once that was all done, we got started talking. And then he said, well, other than a physical, what is your reason for coming here today? And I said, well, and I gave him a quick rundown of my son's like story. Just basically, he needed surgeries. I was in the hospital. The being in a children's hospital for a long duration of time will change you, no matter who you are, and no matter which way it changes you, it will change you, and I will guarantee you that. And I just told him that like it changed me. It's made me very depressed. It's made me a hypochondriac, blah, blah, blah. And so he was just very interested in my son's condition. He wanted to see photographs of my son. He seemed very honest to God, intrigued. He was being very, very nice to me. He looked at me and he's like, I want you to promise me that the next time you come in here, you are going to have had a meeting with a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And I said, I promise. And I was told to see him, I want to say 2 to 3 months later. So I called my insurance, and this was before Obamacare and like all these different things. So I called my insurance. They didn't cover psychiatric therapy in any way, shape, or form. So I called him back. And I didn't even speak to him. I didn't ask for a return phone call, which he didn't return my phone call. I didn't ask to speak to him. I just said, can you please give Dr. So many words I want to say right there, but I won't. Can you please give Dr. So-and-so the message that Leah called, and that I know you want me to see a psychologist or psychiatrist before I come see you again. However, my insurance doesn't cover it. Do you have any suggestions that I could try? I just wanted to let him know up front that like I wasn't trying to not follow doctor's orders. I called him that time, and that was probably within the week after my first visit there. And then about a month passed, and then my son was going in for his first ever surgery to repair his bilateral cleft lip. I knew it was going to be long. I didn't know how long, but yeah, I was told 6 to 8 hours. So I was a nervous wreck. As someone with anxiety, depression, I was a nervous wreck. Like 1,000 thoughts racing through my head. So I think this was about a month after I initially saw the doctor. And again, I had never heard back about like what to do since my insurance. I thought maybe it'd be like, oh, go here. And they like charge you as in what you make a year or something like that. You know, there are some programs that are like that. I called him around a month and a half after my initial visit, and I said to the nurse, again, I didn't even ask for him to like phone me. Can you ask Dr. So-and-so if he has anything that he could prescribe to me, just 1 or 2 tablets to get me through my son's surgery tomorrow. And I get a call back a few hours later, and they're like, the doctor said he has given you all he is going to give you. Okay, geez, that was like a little bit rude. Really, dude? Like, okay, cool. My son went through his surgery, everything. It was 8.5 hours. It was completely like, you know, nail biting. I got through it without anything except for like what was normally prescribed to me. So I went to his appointment about, like I said, I think it was either like 2 or 3 months later after like my initial appointment. I can't really remember, but it was way after the incident of me calling. And I remember sitting there, and I actually had pulled up on my phone the pictures of my son like before and after to show him how like great a job the surgeon did and like just how happy I was. He walks in, and by walks in, I should say storms in, and just grabs the door because it was open. He just like grabs the door and shoves it open. And he's like, "You're crazy. You're like Lindsay Lohan on some drugs." Why did I beep about drugs? On some drugs or some shit. You can't be calling me all the time. I've only seen you once, and you've already called me multiple times. Twice. I called twice, and I felt that they were both like legitimate reasons to call a person. Am I right or wrong? He's like, I have the authority to say, I don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to see someone crazy like you. Why do I talk so much with my hands? It's so annoying. It annoys me. So anyway. And he literally just went on, and he's like, I don't need someone calling me. Like, I don't need to see someone once and have them call me multiple times afterwards. And I don't need to deal with this. And I can pick and choose, like legit screaming at me. I wish had crossed my path again. I wish. And he just called me every kind of name of crazy, F this, F that, like flipping out because I made 2 calls within 2 or 3 months to him. And I am a hypochondriac, and anyone that knows me now knows that, yeah, I might get carried away and call like the pediatrician 800 times a week. But back then, what did he have to offer me in calling him when I was worried about my son all the time? I don't know. Anyway, he actually kept this rant going, screaming at me with the door open, like leaning on the doorknob, until I said, you know what? I don't like you speaking to me this way, so knock it off. And he's like, sorry, and goes to shut the door and walks out. And I'm like, excuse me? And comes back in, he's like, what? I'm like, well, I am here for a visit, so what, you're going to charge my insurance all this money for me coming here and you yelling at me? And I had like one question. There, ironically, was a big, no, and by big I mean like 8x10, picture framed on the wall that said, feeling depressed, don't be ashamed to talk to your doctor about it. Do you know what it took in me even then? Now, like, there'd be nothing holding me back. There would be literally nothing. But do you know what it took even then for me to not grab that picture off the wall and walk up to the receptionist's desk and just like slam it down and be like, yeah, maybe you should talk to your doctors about what that means. But I didn't. I did storm out. I didn't say a word. I didn't stop at the desk. I wasn't rescheduling with this a-hole for like anything in the world. I got home. I told multiple people about what happened. They encouraged me to report him, so I did report him. When I reported him, it seems like the person seemed like that wasn't the first time he got in trouble, just by like how she kind of like talked. I had to write a statement. I had to go through all this stuff, and you know what the end result was? Dr. So-and-so said he already apologized to you. And for the record, the person that did recommend me to him is a good friend of mine, and afterwards, her and her mother went there, and afterwards her mother did see him like months after the situation happened with me, maybe even a year later, I'm not sure, I don't want to be specific in time, and her mom said that he's getting very weird with his old age. So, it's not just me. He completely belittled me. It took me a long time to ever go back to another doctor, let's just say that. But now that I did, after a while, I have found the perfect therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, whichever one is the one that writes prescriptions, and PCP, and just, you know, all that. So I guess the lesson in all of this that I'm trying to say is don't ever let your doctor make you feel less than, embarrassed, silly, ashamed, any of that. Whether it's the first time you're seeing this doctor or the 50th time you're seeing this doctor, no doctor ever, ever, ever has the right to make you feel any of those ways. And to any of you out there that are going through any type of depression, anxiety, OCD, anything. I mean, I could just sit here and rattle off tons of things. Know you're not alone. And know that there is someone out there that will give you the right help that you deserve. Thank you all for watching my story time on my worst doctor experience ever, and I will talk to you guys again very soon.